Welcome to Coffee with Chaos. My name is James, and here is my coffee. And I'm surrounded by chaos. All the time. Why collecting chaos? Well, I don't know what I'm going to collect until I see it. As a consequence, I have cards, I have Hot Wheels, I have toys, I have action figures, I have Barbie dolls, I have coins, I have comic books. God, do I have comic books. I collect all kinds of stuff. And that's why I chose the name Kollecting Kaos. And I spell it with a K, of course. Why not? Austin Wallace, good to see you here. I'm glad you could stop in. I used to have a nice collection of them, but I have no idea what happened to them. After I joined the Army, they just disappeared. So I don't have many of those anymore. I do have some Tootsie toys, though. J.R. Bingham, nice to see you. Glad you could stop in. I'm going to do a new segment tonight that I've never done before. And I've never done it before because it's too hard. And what I'm going to do is each week, I'm going to pick a publisher and a decade, so it could be the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. It could even be the 20s, and I could go into pulps. Or it could be the 90s or the 10s. Who knows? I don't know. And I'll pick one particular publisher. This week, pick my favorite decade for DC Comics, which was the Silver Age. Now, why is the Silver Age my favorite decade? Because that was my formative years. That's when I grew up, was during the Silver Age. Makes sense. So at my top 5, well, actually it's 6, but I'll tell you about that in a little bit. Top 5 favorite artists from DC Comics. Now, this doesn't mean that they were the best DC Comics artists during the 60s. It's just that they're my favorites. And there's a lot that I didn't include that I wanted to, but when you're only picking 5, you gotta kind of be careful. So I have honorable mentions as well. And I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I don't know which ones I'm going to pick next week. But I'm going to go ahead and go over these. And I think I'll start with the honorable mentions. First honorable mention, Ramona Fradon. Nobody ever heard of her. Who was Ramona Fradon? Well, Ramona Fradon was an incredible artist, and she worked on Aquaman and The Brave and the Bold. So if you have read any of those comics from the 60s, it's a good chance that Ramona did the artwork. And she was the co-creator for Metamorpho. Yes, she did. She did Super Friends also, but that was in the 70s or 60s or 70s. Yeah, that was in the 70s. So, yeah, incredible artist. I figured you probably knew who she was, Austin. It just made sense. Next honorable mention, Nick Cardy. I wanted to put Nick Cardy on my list, but because of his work with Aquaman and Teen Titans, and he had really clean artwork and did some nice covers, but I liked a few others better than him. Mike Sekowsky. Absolutely. Mike Sekowsky, another incredible artist. And a lot of people don't even realize he worked on DC Comics in the 60s. But he did. He did. If you read a Justice League of America comic from the 1960s, Mike Sekowsky probably drew it. And he also did the Inferior 5, which was kind of cool. Yeah, Nick Cardy did a lot of the covers, but Mike Sekowsky was doing the interiors. Jim Mooney, honorable mention. His Supergirl in Action Comics Why do you why do you think I collect them? Yeah. Kurt Schaffenberger. Probably a surprise that he didn't make the list. He was this close to making it. But there's just other artists that I like even better than him. And of course, when you talk Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, you're talking Kurt Schaffenberger. There's no question about it. Yeah, Nick Cardy, best for Teen Titans, no question. Ross Andru, Flash and Wonder Woman. Plus, he did covers also. He did a lot of work. Yep. Yeah, he was a regular on Peter Parker. But Ross Andru, all you have to do is say his name, and you know that he's the top artist. And one that people don't really think about, and Lawson probably knows this name, Bob Oxner. Now, he was a cartoonist. He wasn't really a comic book artist as such. He was a cartoonist, and his best known work would be Adventures of Jerry Lewis and Bob Hope. But all of these are honorable mentions. Now let's get to my top 5, which is actually 6, because I tied 2 of them. Sheldon Moldo and Gil Kane are number 5. Sheldon Moldo for all of his work on Batman, and Gil Kane for Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and The Atom. Probably inked by Murphy Anderson. Yeah, they did. Oh, that's right. Oxnard did do England. Yeah, he did. But mostly his for DC in the 60s, and this is I'm just talking in the 60s now. He was best known for The Atom and for Green Lantern. Hal Jordan. Number 4, and this might surprise people, Carmine Infantino. The dynamic visuals that he used to show speed on his Flash were second to none. And let's face it, the guy basically created the Silver Age along with some other people. So yeah, definitely. And he did a lot of work on Batman as well. Yep. Number 3, and this was my number 1 pick for a long time, and he's still one of my favorite artists of all time. It's Curt Swan. The man did Superman for like 30 years. But I'm just talking about his 60s work, where he pretty much made the mold for what Superman would become as far as his costume and his look. For even to this day, Superman basically looks the same as he did back when Curt Swan was drawing him. Absolutely. Number 2, Murphy Anderson. And Murphy Anderson, of course, he did it. He inked most of his own pencils, and he inked to pretty much everybody else's as well. But his Hawkman and Spectre, just incredible work. Way, as far as I'm concerned, he was ahead of his time. And I know he inked Curt Swan, and I know he inked Gil Kane, and he kind of put a polish on the DC comics that he inked that gave him, that special thing. Absolutely. My number one pick, my number one pick for the 60s artist for DC is Joe Kubert, because I loved his Hawkman stuff and I love his war stuff, his Sergeant Rock and all of that other stuff that he did. It's just, it blew me away as a child. It blows me away as an adult. And it blows me away as an older adult too. So Joe Kubert is my number one favorite for the 60s. Now, if I pick somebody for the 60s as a favorite, chances are, even though they worked in the 50s and the 70s, I'm not going to pick them in the 50s and 70s unless it's for another company. So that's it. That's my top 5 plus 1. Because I just couldn't leave Sheldon Moldoff out. You can't leave the Batman out, even if he didn't get credit for it until recently. Yeah, he was. Him and Roy Thomas and a few others. Yeah, Lawson does some good stuff. And his Tarzan. Oh my God. It's hard to think of anybody else drawing Tarzan better than Joe Kubert. But there was one person that could do it. Yeah. But he never drew comic books. He just did the strips. And that's Vern Hogarth. Vern Hogarth, in my opinion, is the only person to ever draw Tarzan better than Joe Kubert. Yeah. Oh, Unknown Soldier was one of my favorites too. Yes, Felix, they were. Welcome to the show with Felix. Glad you could stop in. So that's my, like I said, that's my top 5. I'll review them for you. Tied for 5th is Sheldon Moldoff and Gil Kane. Number 4 was Carmine Infantino. Number 3 was Kurt Swan. Number 2 was Murphy Anderson. And number 1, Joe Kubert. I'll do another one next week. A different company and different artists. Maybe the same artist. I don't know. Let's go ahead and see what I pressed this past week. On second thought, we're not going to see what I pressed this past week. We're going to look at something else. We're going to look at a Murphy Anderson cover. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Here we go. This is that Hawkman that I'm trying to decide what to do with. And that's cover, Murphy Anderson cover. There you go. One of the earliest artists to actually sign his work for in DC also. Now, somebody mentioned that, I should just go ahead and put new holes in here to make it fit. See, the top staples line up, the bottom staples don't. And they were thinking it'd be better to put holes in here and use the original staples for here. Or maybe they just wanted me to take the 2 center wraps that are missing from this one and use these center wraps. But then the page coloring won't match, which is something I think about. But here's the deal. The only reason this is held together is because I have Tengujo paper all the way down the seam because it was split completely apart. And I'm going to have to wash this cover, and I'm going to use my Marlar method for that. And when I do, all this Tengujo paper is going to come off. So it's going to be totally split again. And I'm going to have to do some leaf casting to it to fill the top hole and some of these in here. And when I do that, it's going to fill the hole where the staple was. Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh. Neil Adams really was only in the 60s for a couple of years. He'll probably make my 70s list for sure. Yeah, you can. And the way they did that weapon that the guy's using, the Master of the Sky is using, the way that's drawn is very similar to the way Carmine Infantino did the Flash. So Murphy Anderson borrowed that to show the movement. But anyway, because I'm going to have to do leaf casting on this anyway, and it's going to fill the holes, I'm thinking just using the new interior is a better idea. And that's probably what I'm going to go with. Because if I do this one, I'm going to have to clean every single page, whereas this one I don't have to clean any of them. I'll have to wet clean every page, and then I'll have to make new holes in the wraps from this one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and do this the way I said, and y'all will be part of that eventually. But there's some other comics I want to work on, and I want to use the same method, my Mylar cleaning method. I want to try it on an old Charlton comic. These Charlton comics are notoriously hard to clean, and if I can clean this old Battlefield Action comic, which again, it'll probably come apart because it has really bad spine splits. It'll probably come apart on me. But if I can clean it using my Mylar method with little to no color loss, that would be worth it. No, I didn't see that. That explains why the price dropped on it, though. Yeah, but Russ Manning is a gold key artist, and I know Russ Manning mostly from his what was it, Magnus Robot Fighter. Yeah, a lot of modern artists are lazy. Present company not included, but there are a lot of lazy artists out there now. I know they do. I've got a few high grade Charltons. Well, Mark Waid is a bit of a purist. He loves the old books. He loves the old comics. The last one I want to try as an experiment, and this comic was sent to me for free a long time ago with the hopes that I could save it, and I had not felt qualified to work on it at the time. This is Two-Fisted Tales number 32, and it's missing a lot right here on every single page. and the staples are all rusted and nasty. But I never felt I was good enough to work on it until recently. I think I can work on this. And I kind of want to experiment on it on this one, which had massive water damage, before I take on the one that Lawson is going to send me. Call it a practice run. I'll wind mine first, and then I'll wind yours. Yeah, but it needs saving before it falls apart completely. Archivist Adrift, glad you could stop in. So let's take a look at what I pressed this week. We'll get into these other ones a little bit later. First one I pressed, Tomb of Dracula, #2. I have my overhead light off, so the glare won't be quite as bad on these Mylars. And this, oh no, #3, Tomb of Dracula, #3. I do have all of the Tomb of Draculas now. I finally found my copy of #10. Yeah. Speaking of Gil Kane, so we'll see some of the other artists too. And now we have ElfQuest 16. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I have 2 of them. Now, these had water damage, and all I did was flatten them out. I humidified them and pressed them just to get them to be flat again. And this one, it still has some wrinkles in it. So I might want to press this second one again. Actually, both of them still have wrinkles in it. I guess I didn't leave them in the humidity chamber long enough. But yeah, I like Wendy Penny's artwork. Yeah, that's what I'll be using. I'll be using the Vapor Rust on the on that. And what I do when I use the Vapor Rust, below the page or the paper, I put a piece of my brain's not working. I can't think of the name of it. I put like a piece of filter paper under it, a piece of filter paper over it, and then I put the Vapor Rust down with a cotton swab, and then put the filter paper on top of it. It sucks it out. This is very cool. I had some people that used to stop by my shop in San Jose, California when I was living there. Most of the guys from Slave Labor Graphics would pop in once in a while. Mick Gray would come by every now and then. Whenever J.H. Williams III went to meet or see Mick Gray, he would stop in, and other people would stop in once in a while. And I never knew when they were going to show up. Oh, absolutely. You have to wet it down first before using the Vapor Rust. Yeah, I lived in San Jose. I lived in Marina. I got out of the Army at Fort Ord. So that's why I was living in California for a while. But I got out of there. Here's Richie Rich, #126. Yeah, Warren Kremer did the art on this one. He did the art on most of the Richie Riches and a lot of the other Harvey stuff as well. Yeah, it's a nice copy, and it turned out pretty. I like the way it turned out. Now, I do not have the Uncle Scrooge that I worked on. It's still in the press. It's not due to come out of my cold press until tomorrow morning. So I'm going to have to show you that next week. Next up, can't go wrong with Brian Boland, especially when he's doing a woman, or in this case, Elvira. That's number one. I have all of these as well. That took me forever to get. Here's Jim Starlin doing Dreadstar, number 32. Well, here's the thing. I set them in my when I press a comic, I'll do a heat press on most of them, not on all of them, but on most of them I do a heat press, and let it sit in there for about 4 hours. Then I take it out. I get to look at it at that point, and then it goes in a cold press for 48 hours. So yeah, I've seen them. You realize you just made everybody in the chat jealous. No, no, you got to do what you got to do, and as long as they turn out good. Sometimes checking on them like that will let you know if maybe you need to press them a little longer, or maybe you need to take them out and put a little more steam, or a little more, put them back in the humidity chamber. Yeah, you've got the world at your fingertips, Lofton. Now, my wife doesn't love comics, but she understands how much I do. Uh, and one year for my birthday, she gave me uh, $200 and said, "Go buy a comic book." Uh, and I think I paid $125 for the comic that I bought with that, and then I used the rest of my cheap stuff to, dollar books mostly, quarter books, whatever they were at the time, to bring the price down. And that's how I got my Superman. I think 47 was either 46 or 47. I will never, ever, ever sell that book because she basically, I mean, it was the first comic and only comic she ever bought for me. Here's a Cerebus number 46. This one was not water damaged. All I had to do was press it. It turned out really nice. I may let this one go and keep the water damaged one that I have for my collection. This cover is by Alan Simon, Classics Illustrated number 20. And I think it's, I don't have it written down which one. Oh, 20-97. So this was probably around 1958 or so. Maybe later. Classics Illustrated always had good artwork in them. And the covers were always kind of striking. I definitely saw the Corsican Brothers the movie by Cheech and Chong. I need to start going to cons again. It's been too long. Um, I think my wife went to one convention with me, and that was it. There's an Airboy, a number 33. Ken Stacey did the cover for that one. I've got the money. I could go to that con, but with the price of gas, I'm not sure I want to. Yeah. All the Airboy covers were awesome, as far as I'm concerned. No, this one was Ken Stacey. But I'm pretty sure Chuck Dixon might have done some of the covers. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'd like to go to it. Number 5, Drew the Wanderer, Sergio. Probably the funniest artist in comic books, both on it with his work and his in person. He's a real cute. I like him a lot. He might have. I don't remember who wrote it. Yeah, and funny. Back in the '90s, WonderCon had really good back issue sales, but it all kind of went away. Right, Mark Davania drew, and Sergio drew it, and what's his name? Oh, yep. I first learned about Sergio in Mad Magazine, where he would do the little drawn out dramas on the edges of the page. Yeah, we have a Gru sketch by him. It's Gru holding a flower and saying my wife's name. Unfortunately, she made me send it to her. She's in California, by the way. Not because we want to be separated, but because she was visiting. Uh, my daughter had a stroke. My daughter didn't have the stroke. My wife had a stroke while visiting my daughter, and she's been there ever since because she can't move. So my daughter takes care of her, and I send them money. But I'm not going back to California. No way, Jose. Not happening. Uh, as a business person, I can't afford it. So, oh, this next one probably nobody's going to be interested in seeing. Bill Montez did the layouts, and of course Rocco did the cover. Fighting 5, number 40. Why is this comic important? Can anybody tell me? Why is this comic important? And remember I said I had some high grade Charltons? Ding, ding, ding. That's right, John. First Peacemaker in his own separate story. And it's a really nice copy. Actually, I'd put this as upper mid grade, but it's still a really nice copy. Of course, I have to include some of these because, you know, I like Archie. I actually like to read them too. Yeah, Peacemaker has his own backup story in Fight the Five, number 40. Not a cheap book to get, by the way, in any condition. Dan DiCarlo did the artwork on that Archie. There's Elf Quest number 17, another Wendy Penny. No, I don't have Peacemaker number 1. But I figured the first appearance of Peacemaker would make up for that. Let's get on down the line here. Yeah, I don't have Peacemaker number 1. But that's the first appearance. Next up, I'm not sure who did this artwork. This is Boris Karloff number 7 from 1964. And I just don't know who did the artwork, but I like it a lot. This is one that I had to fix a spine split. It wasn't a big spine split, but it was enough to keep the staples. And it's not in the best shape in the world. Outer Limits number 2 from 1964. It's got a lot of creases in it, but I like the way it looks. Yeah, they are. And they had a number of artists that worked on it. Here's one that the only reason I pressed this one, well, aside from the fact that I got it, was I showed it to the comic store owner that I go down to, and he gave it to me because it's low grade. So I pressed it and took it back to him and showed it to him, and it's Red Sonja number 5 by Pat Broderick, and it blew him away. It does have a long crease right here, and it has a few, and it has some spine stress, but overall it came out really nice. And Pat Broderick did a good Red Sonja. Not my favorite Red Sonja artist, but he did good. Here's another Harvey comic. I don't know who did this cover. Casper 178. And it turned out all right. Again, I like all kinds of comics. I'm not. Oh, no question. Frank Thorne is top tier. But that's and he's the best only because I don't think Dave Stevens ever did one. If he had done a Red Sonja, that would be the best. Yeah. Here's Elvira number 2. Dennis Cohen. I'm a fan of Dennis Cohen. I like his artwork a lot. Yeah, he did. Let's do another magazine. This magazine is from 1988, March 14th, 1988, and it's by John Byrne. And if I were going to get John Byrne to sign something, it would be this. Gray Morrow and Wally Wood, they're just, there's no, yeah, they can draw anything. I know that wasn't a comic book, but it's definitely comic related. There's another Jim Starlin, Dreadstar. I gave a comic away today, and it was from like 1988 or 89. And the person was talking about how old it was, and I looked at him and I said, "It's not old. It's only like this number of years." Told him it's only like 38 years old. It's not old. And she looked at me, and then I thought about it for a minute, and I went, you know, when I first started collecting comic books, Action Comics #1 was only 38 years old. So yeah, I guess it is old. It was a Batman comic. The first appearance of Tim Drake, or yeah, first appearance of Tim Drake. She's a big Nightwing and Robin fan, so I gave her a copy of that. And the rest of the story arc too, not just the first episode of Batman Year 3. I gave her all 4 issues. There's Cerebus #47. Again, a nice copy. It had no water stains on it, so it was good. Dave Sim, of course, did that. This one, I don't know who did the art on this. 3 Famous Mysteries. Classics Illustrated 21-62. So this one was from probably around 1949. And there are 3 Sherlock Holmes. No, 2 of them are Sherlock Holmes. One of them isn't. Yeah, when I first started collecting comics, I had the opportunity to buy Action Comics #1. And from my memory, I'm going to say it was a fine copy for about $200, $150 to $200. And I decided not to, even though I had the money in my pocket. And I don't regret my decision, because my mom and dad kind of needed the money more than I needed that comic. So I gave all the money I made at that comic show to them. And I was a seller at that show. That was at one of Gary Groth's Metro Comic Cons back in the early 70s. There's another Airboy. Stan Walk, of course. Stan Walk actually did the artwork in most of the Airboy comics. And that means, of course, I'm going to show you another Gru. This is number 6. This is the greatest cover ever. And I don't often take them out, but I got to take this one out. I'm actually going to get a clear backing board for this one. I'm going to order like 10 of them so that I have some. I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to take the back in. Well, no, I'll just take it out. That's the front. And that's the back. Greatest cover ever. Yeah, the Classics Illustrated was from 1949. And yeah. But like I said, there's the back. There's the front. Yeah, I got into Eclipse Comics because of Pacific Comics. And of course, I have to show something by Jack Kirby every episode. So this episode, it's In the Days of the Mob. #1, the only one. And yes, this does have the wanted poster of John Dillinger in it. It's never been removed. It should not be that difficult to get, Austin, because I mean, I run across them a lot. Next one I run across, if it's one that I already have, or a if the number's the same on the order form on the back is the same as one I already have, I'll just send it to you. Yeah, he did. Yeah, generally that's what you're going to see. But if I send you one, it will have been pressed and cleaned first. Ah, there you go. Fighting 5, #41. Second appearance of Peacemaker. Again, it has a story in the back. This cover is by Rocco Mastroserio. He went by the name Rocky. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Again, it's a really nice copy. Yeah, I thought the same thing when I first saw it. And of course, Charlton was doing Gorgo. I think they bought the rights to Gorgo because they couldn't get the rights to do Godzilla. This is Harry Lucy did the artwork on this Archie's Joke book. This is #40. Yeah, #40. And I love this old art style. It's just, yeah. Oh, Harry Lucy, right. Oh, they got some A-listers too once in a while. And sometimes they had some really good artists do them. Here's a Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery. This is #65. And again, I don't know who did the cover. Nope, #12. It's from 1965. It's #12. It's it's not quite George Wilson quality, but it's close. Very cool. Really? I have Spirit World too, but it's slabbed. Uh, I'll go get it in a second. Next up, this is four color number 505 from 1953. The Sword and the Rose. Of course, that's a photo cover. And I'm not crazy about showing this guy's art, but I figured I'd go ahead and show this. It's a very high grade New Mutants newsstand. Oh, 1,400 issues. Can't remember all. Yeah, pretty much forever. Again, I'm going to pull it out because the main reason I have this one is it's a little bit on the rare side. Yeah. I wonder if this is where Cable got his studded bracelet. He might have. Louis Dominguez did a lot of artwork for Gold Key. So that's why I have that. Not because Liefeld and McFarlane worked on it, but because, well, I needed it as a filler for I needed New Mutants 87 as a filler for my New Mutants run, but mostly because of the Mark II insert. And if I ever sell that, I know I'm going to get a premium on it. Here's another news time. I showed one of these last week. Here's the other one I pressed. This one came out nicer than the other one. This one was in pretty nasty shape. I had to humidify it before I could press it. And I thought about trying to take this ink off, but then I went, nah, it's part of the history of the comic. It needs to stay on there. This is Wendy number 83 or 63? 83 from 1974. I can't sell it, Jason. If I sell it, I'll have a hole in my New Mutants collection. Number 3, another Dennis Cohen Elvira from 1985. Speaking of removing things from spines, I saw an absolute Batman first print on eBay today. The guy wanted an unbelievable amount of money. And of course, it was the original cover, but the staples are also all full loose. So I suspect he removed the outer cover to have yeah. People do some stupid crap. Another Jim Starlin Dreadstar from 1987, number 33. I have a lot of those, or I had a lot of them. I don't know if I still do or not. Yeah, I had a lot of the Playful Wildvirus. I don't know if I still do, but I really enjoyed them. They were great, and I wasn't paying attention to the artist at the time, but I enjoyed it. Let's see what's next. Cerebus number 48, another nice copy. Turned out really well. All right. This is from 1949, 3-60, Ray Ramsey art. This is one of the more common ones that you'll probably find. So this is what I would go for, is the number 60. The difference between this and the other one, the other one, yeah, the my earlier edition that's from Classic Comics, that's in my cold press, along with all of the interior wraps. I humidified it for about 8 hours and then stuck it in there. And I'm going to leave it in there for, until I feel like taking it out and working on it again. So, yeah. I'll keep my eyes open if I find another copy of this. It's going their way. Tomb of Dracula, number 1. Now this is actually torn right here. I decided not to fix the tear. I was just going to press it like it was and just leave it. Because I don't like fixing magazines if I can avoid it. But I really like this cover. And Bob Larkin supposedly did the art, but it's hard to tell from this. Jerry Iger's Famous Features, number 1. I have to get another copy of this. It's a beautiful Joe Chiodo cover, but it's got some stuff on the cover here that I couldn't get off. So I'm going to look for a better copy. And this one I'll probably send out into the wild. Yep. Next up, I still have a few that I'm doing. It's a Ron's Friends cover on Airboy. And I could see Ron Friends doing Westerns or war comics. Look at the back, or look at the here. I'm sure I have one laying around somewhere. I've got so many Classics Illustrated, it's not funny. We'll look at this one. What you want to check for is this. Take a look at this, and you want the lowest number possible. Like this is number 166, so this is a later printing. So it's number 24-166. And this reissued 1968. So you know this is a 1968 copy. But like I said, the easiest way, the closer this number is, so like if this was like number 25 on the back here, this would probably be a first print. And when you opened it up and looked at the interior, it would tell you what the next issue was going to be. That's how you can tell what you're looking for. So, yeah. I'm sorry, but I have to drive somebody crazy again. Here's another one you might want to get, Boston. I got to catch up with chat now. Yeah, Turok Son of Stone is good stuff. Let's take a look and see what this is. I know it's an early issue. Number 27. This one I have in fairly good condition, and the staple is out of it because it's an incomplete copy. Now, if we open it up and look, no, it is not a first print. Number 30. So this is probably a second printing, and yeah, I need to work on this some. Actually, I started working it at one point and I never finished it, so I need to finish working on it. It's probably a second print. What's happened to my, there you go. Yeah, my camera moved a little bit. Warren Sattler, Warren Sattler, Yang number 5. If it didn't have these color breaking spine creases, it would be a high grade. As it is, it's mid grade. Yeah, a lot of the early ones were 10 cents. My pleasure, Jeff, and welcome to the channel. Feel free to stick around and subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff. Yeah, the pages were nice. Coming up on 60, huh? Yeah, at the end of the month, I'll turn 72, so 72 going on 12. Archie's Joke Book, number 135. I just liked the cover, so I pressed it. But I'm pressing all of my Archies. Not sure who did this cover, but I'm thinking, I don't think Dan DeCarlo did this one. I think this one might have been Stan Goldberg. I'm not sure. It could have been either one. Anyway, that was my comics that I pressed. we will go back to me, if I remember how. Oh, I was going to go get that spirit world. Look at the background stuff. I'll be right back. Figures it was the last slab I looked at. Yep. All of those need a little work. And then there's my copy of Hawkman #1. But yeah, I'll put a different Superman up there eventually. I've got another one coming, but it's not slab, it's raw. It's one of those ones that I bid on and didn't expect to win. And yeah, it's on the way. Yeah, I kind of wanted a raw copy, and I will probably break this eventually, crack it out eventually. But for now, I'll just leave it in the slab. Yeah, her first appearance was Hawkman #4. Remember, I don't think I have a copy of it, but I will eventually. Yeah, I'll get Hawkman #4 eventually. And if you're wondering why I'm looking off to the side, my computer monitor is off to the side, and I don't have the camera above the computer monitor. Yeah, I got to look for that. But it's nice to have the original Spirit World by Jack Kirby, which is, yeah. I don't think he did the cover, but this was one of his. This was one of his projects. Jack Kirby story and art, Sergio Aragon's art, Neil Adams cover, poster included. Yeah, this is everything you want in a Spirit World. Yeah, yeah, I know the feeling. I just wanted to be part of the bidding. You know, sometimes you just want to be part of it. You know, and sometimes I've just put something on my watch list because I wanted to see what it would sell for, and somebody sends me a ridiculously low offer for it, and you know, like 20 or 30% off, and what can I do? I got to buy it. Fortunately, I had the money, and I could do it. Um, the Superman 5, that was a case of I did a watch on it, and the guy dropped the price by like $100, $150, sent me an offer, and I went, yeah, okay. That's cool. This is cool. Amazing Spider-Man 50 it's a nice cover. Uh, that's okay. Spidey Man is good. We understand what Spidey Man means. Most of us read Taiwanese. It's like the comment earlier on my show from this morning. Uh, Glans ma'am, I missed that completely until it was pointed out, and then I had to chuckle. Yeah, yeah. Type in when you're doing searches. Type in variations. You never know what you're going to come up with. Yeah, you and somebody else might come up with the same thing. I did get some other comics this week, most of which I could care less about. I mostly bought them because of one comic, but the guy's a little low on cash and he needed some money too. There's more than just comics in this box. There's also Mad magazines and uh, the Batman Forever stamp. Yeah, it goes like this. And you can buy this on eBay for $20. So I offered him. I figured out what I wanted to pay him, then I added $20 uh, for the stamps because yeah, why not? Then we had there's 5 different issues of Mouse Guard. Most of them were the free comic book day stuff, and I like this stuff. Of course, I like everything. Uh, oh no, that's why I hate tape. A Joan of Arc. It's a later printing, but I like the cover, and I'm pretty sure I have it. Uh, it's just Daredevil, the new Daredevil #1. I guess he read it and decided he didn't want it. So, uh, Adam and Eve. Al Hartley, very underrated artist. I really like Al Hartley's work. Yeah. Well, I've got all the Superman stamps. I've got all the Wonder Woman stamps. So having the Batman stamps, it made sense. I have most of the Spire Christian comics here. Not all of them, but I do have most of them. There's like 2 or 3 that I'm missing, and that's it. Um, just, yeah, I don't care about that. Not something that I'm, like I said, I bought them mostly to help them out. I think it's the whole hunted storyline. Not that I care. And then this one, and I'm pretty sure I have a copy of this already. Savage Dragon 232. It's pretty much all new stuff. Take a look at my background again. I got to use the restroom. Sorry about that, but when you get to be my age, you'll understand. Yeah. Actually, there's a YouTube video on that was published recently that shows Marlin Perkin grabbing behind the head of an anaconda. Of course, they had the anaconda rope. This Superman for Tomorrow. I will probably have to hang on to that because, from what I understand, this was a trade paperback series. Not sure how many there were, but there's 2 volumes of it. This one I was actually kind of happy to get. I mean, Dave Dorman, so why wouldn't I be happy to get that? Dark Empire #2. That Star Wars Dark Empire, when it first came out in the 90s, you couldn't touch them. They were just, they shot up like rockets. And now, you know, a couple of bucks. Disney crap. Star Wars Adventures. Star Wars Early Adventures. This is Dark Horse, so that's a little bit better. There's a lot of Magnolia in here. Like Revelation, Masters of the Universe Revelation. Batman Black and White #4, which I got excited when I first saw this, and then I opened it up and saw 2021. I went, "Oh crap!" Because I don't know if you realize it or not, but the first Batman Black and White was done in the 90s, in the late 90s, like 96, 97, 98, somewhere around there. And I only ever got the first issue. Yeah, I had a store at that time, but it sold out. with the exception of the first issue. Here's a another Magnolia, Shadow Strikes, number 31. That's true. Very true. Thanos 18, 17, 16, 15. A lot of these are second prints, like this one. 15 is second print. And here's number 13, second print. From what I understand, this says the first Cosmic Ghost Rider. But it's just, no, this is a third print. Nope. Fifth print, excuse me. This is a fifth print. I don't care. If it's not a first print, I don't care. And then I got some of these. Batman, Dark Knight, Dark City. You know, most of those comics, I don't really care that much about. Fantasy Tuxedo, yep. Yeah, I liked getting this one. Got the Predator in it. But that's not why I like getting it. I like getting it because it was Ghost. Ghost number 5. And then there were 2 of these. The ones I got, I enjoyed. Black Widow, number 2. I don't know which series, but which volume, but it's number 2. And number 10, and I think that was from the same series. And I'll probably keep the Ghost and the Black Widows. This one I'll probably offer up for sale because I don't care about Marvel Zombies. This is Marvel Zombies Red Band. Couple more of these. So if I don't have copies, they'll go up for sale. And the reason I decided to buy this series, it's another 4-color comic. It's number 223. Donald Duck Lost in the Andes. Yeah, it's low grade, but it's Karl Barks. At least I think it's Karl Barks. How can I not like that? I'll straighten this out up here, and I'll take that extra staple out. See what else needs to get done to it. But yeah, happy to get that. See, us older people, we remember when Karl Barks art or Karl Barks comics were really, really expensive. You couldn't hardly touch them. I mean, a cheap Karl Barks comic was like $25, which back in the 70s was really, really expensive for a comic book, especially in the late 60s, early 70s. When I first got interested in Karl Barks, I couldn't afford to buy any. So now when I see them, if I can afford them, I grab them. Yeah. Adam Hughes' Ghost was just awesome. Yeah, he always did great ducks. I mean, he created Uncle Scrooge. Uncle Scrooge is a Karl Barks creation. He never got enough credit. Not by Disney anyway, but by the fans. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Feature books having some of the biggest keys in the 70s. There you go. It's it's just it's you never know what somebody's going to want or somebody's going to go crazy over here. Um, it's just it's one of those things. Who would have thought that those big treasury editions wouldn't be worth a fortune? They're not. The most expensive one is you can pick up for $100, a mid-grade copy for $100, and that's Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I believe that's the most expensive treasury edition or treasury size comic. Absolutely, yeah. Even if you couldn't read, you could follow the story when Karl Barks drew it because he told the story with both words and with pictures. I have a lot of them in high grade. I have some in low grade too. But yeah. I have Marvel. I have a lot of the Marvel Treasury editions. I don't have them all, and I have all but like 15 maybe of the DC ones. So I'm getting them slowly. Uh, yeah, I don't even try to get the hardcovers. I want the soft covers. I want the ones that I used to see in 7-Eleven. Yeah, I have both Spider-Man, Superman, and Superman Spider-Man. And I just got this at my LCS, which is not my local, but the comic shop that I go to. I just picked that up. He just gave it to me. The Man Who Dreamed the Impossible, and it's about Jack Kirby. Go to Brooklyn. Good to see you. Glad you could stop by. Haven't seen you for ages. Yeah, Conan Treasury editions were nice to get. And then, of course, I've got this one that I need to work on because, yeah, I've got water stains on it, so I want to get those out. I'm doing good. Uh, more comics than what I know what to do with. I need to start selling them sometime, and that's going to happen. eventually. I'm going to dig out a list of ones that I want to sell and put out a video just on those. Let people know how they can get them. I've got some odd stuff. I mean, yeah, I got two of them there. Superman number 5 and Superman number 14. I have a Superman 24 too, but it's pretty ragged and it's raw. It's sitting over here somewhere. I've been trying to get all of those for years. You know, you can't have a full collection of adventure comics unless you get the DC Blue Ribbon Digest because they continued the number on adventure comics into the digests. Yeah, but I have a really nice copy in my collection. This is one that I was working on for somebody and messed up, so I bought them a new one, which was in better condition. And so I decided, well, I've always wanted to try to wash a treasury size comic, so there you go. I'll do that. But the real question, Jeff, is did you buy it? Oh, those are good. Uh, the little ones, they're like 2 or 3 inches by 6 inches. They came in cereal boxes. I pick those up when I get a chance. And then there's the Big Boy comics. They did those. There's like what 200 Big Boy comics or something like that for them, and those were free. Those were giveaways at the Big Boy. I remember getting the box of Cheerios and wanting to eat it real quick so I could cut out the fort that was on the back side. They don't do that anymore. Cereal cereal companies should start doing that. You know, do cutout stuff on the back again. You know, print it and do it again because people would buy it like crazy. I still eat Cheerios, by the way. My favorite cereal. I've been eating Cheerios since I was about 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, that I can remember. Uh, I don't remember what I ate before that. Probably spinach because I've always eaten spinach. Oh, sticky squid. No, thank you. That's the one you threw against the wall and it walked down the wall. I've got some cereal premiums somewhere. I don't know where they are. Um, I've got McDonald's premiums and Burger King premiums. You know, Burger King premiums. I keep meaning to take that one to my LCS and give it to him. He's got a little like a little display he does on that stuff. Very cool. I've got some Wallywood art, some Wallywood comics. Uh, they're kind of underground. Yeah, see, if they did that now, it would help teach younger kids, stimulate their imagination. Don't just say, here, amuse yourself. Sales boy, good to see you, buddy. There you go. I just have to concentrate on getting this digest sometime. Okay, I think you win. But I used to buy, as an adult, I would sometimes buy a cereal just for a premium that was inside of it. But I quit that because the cereals always tasted nasty. I went back to Cheerios. Yeah, that would be a good one. I think that was a reprint from an early action comic, or maybe it was an early adventure comic. Yeah, the only cereals I eat now, I like Raisin Bran once in a while, but not all the time. Uh, I like cornflakes once in a while, not all the time, and I like Cheerios. So nothing that I like has sugar already on it. So I can either add sugar or leave it off as I wish. Yeah, I thought it was an adventure comic. I think I've got it somewhere. Cheerios will always be good. Uh, they were out of Cheerios once, and I bought a box of Honey Nut Cheerios and tried them, and then ate about half the bowl and then threw the box away because I didn't like them. Why am I not surprised? They were a trip band. See, I didn't know that about the Flakes uh, record, so that's I learned something. I knew the Monkees had a record on the back of the cereal box, but I didn't know which one it was. Yeah, I knew about that one, but I didn't know about the Flakes. Yeah, my sisters were big fans of shredded wheat, but I had to have my Cheerios. It's it's good stuff. I mean, all of this is Great. Makes me want to collect more stuff that I don't have room for. I have a bunch of 45s, and I have like 300 or 400 45s. I'll go to the thrift store and flip through them, and if I see one I don't have or that might be interesting, I'll pull it out. And I don't have anything to play them on. I keep meaning to get a player, but I never get around to it. Yeah, it makes you feel old and young at the same time. So how about that? It's like, I mean, it's not in the best shape in the world. And Charles Harmon isn't the greatest player that ever lived. But, I mean, come on. It's like from, what, 1954 or something like that? No, it's newer than that. It's a Bob Skinner. I mean, they're old cards. They were old when I was a boy. I don't really collect baseball cards, uh, so I only have like one of these racks, like this one, full up to the ceiling with baseball cards. So I don't really collect them. I just have them. I bought out a store before I opened mine, and I still have the cards because I never got around to pricing each individual. You got to grade each individual card. You got to price it. I have infinite respect for card dealers because they pay attention to those cards as much as we pay attention to comic books. And it's just amazing the amount of work that goes into grading cards and then figuring out what the best price to put on it so it will actually sell for. Infinite respect to those guys that do that on a regular basis. Of course, most of them now, they just pull them out of a pack and slap them in sleeves and sell them. That's not it. I'm talking about the guys that do the old stuff. I used to have a bunch of Magic the Gathering cards, but I finally sold all of those off. It took me a while, but I got rid of it eventually. Yeah, I have a reprint set, unless I sold it. I listed it on eBay. I might have sold it. I don't know. Uh, I have probably 50 or 60 House of Mystery and probably 30 or 40, maybe 50 House of Secrets. And then I've got other stuff as well. So I really don't know. That's a guess because, I've got weird war tales and a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to guess maybe 200 comics, but I doubt it. I would say somewhere between 150 and 200 comics for DC horror. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's not like my collection of Superman comics, which is Action Adventures of Superman, 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 Man of Steel, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, uh, and all of the other ones. I probably have 1,500 different Superman comics, probably more than that. And if I include Superboy and Supergirl and Adventure comics in the action, then we're talking 2 or 3, maybe 2,000 Superman titles. Lois Lane, I'm missing maybe 20 or 25 now issues. Well, you should have let them put some of the stickers on. Then they wouldn't have ratted you out. See, I never did that stuff. I never. I was always real careful with the stuff that I wanted to collect. Even when I was really young, uh, I would find ways to protect. If I had a special card that I really liked, like a rookie card of a baseball player that I really liked, I would put it in a book so that it would be safe. Oh yeah, I have about a long box and a half of First Comics. Yeah, I was pretty careful with the stuff that I collected. Now the stuff that wasn't collected, yeah, that would sit on the floor for months. I didn't care. You know, toys people bought me, I didn't care. But my comic books or my toy or my cards, my model kits, those I always took really good care of. Ah, he's the one. Okay. Okay. I knew there was I knew there was one person responsible for clipping all of those Marvel value stickers. And now you're ratting him out. Yeah, see? DC Comics. That would do it. I wasn't overly obsessed with condition when I was younger. Um, and I'm still not that much overly obsessed with them. I like my books to look nice. So if it's a low grade, I'll still steam and press it or humidify it and press it uh, just to make it look nicer. Because even take that Outer Limits comic, it's really low grade. If I can find it, as long as it doesn't have, yeah. Now you can really see all the creases in it. It's a really low grade copy, but yeah, it's 1964, and I love it. You know, it's great. It's definitely not in high grade, but I pressed it because it makes it look a little better. And of course, once you press it, if you put it in Mylar, well, you know, you can take a turd, put it in Mylar, and it's going to look great. Yeah. I actually have some of those Army men, and someday I'm going to dig them out. I didn't order them. I bought them on, you know, I saw them online on eBay, I think. And it was like $10, so I bought them. And it turns out it's missing a few, but it's okay. Yeah. See, when was the last time you heard of somebody? When was the last time you heard of a coin show? They don't happen as often as they used to. They used to be pretty easy to come by. Yeah, sometimes that. Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, even you have a little bit of browning along the edge. Sometimes when it's pressed and presented in a mylar, it just looks spectacular. Even though you know it's a low grade copy because it's got that browning on it. It makes it look better. Oh, dinosaurs. Absolutely. Everybody loves dinosaurs. Uh, I had it for a while. I got rid of it. I sold all of my TMNT stuff. I don't have any left, except for The Adventures of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it's published by Archie Comics. And I have most of those. Yeah, I have no idea. Now I'm going to have to do some research and see if I can find out. I did pick up a Hot Wheels from my personal collection, although I'm not supposed to be collecting Hot Wheels. There are certain ones that I like, uh, but I couldn't pass this one up because I think the Batmobile in the Pattinson uh, Batman movie is just so cool. I mean, it's like if you were a hot rod enthusiast and you had to make a Batmobile, that's what you'd probably make. Well, the sea monkeys were nothing more than shrimp, and you would get the little dehydrated ones. You put them in there, and they hatch. They were shrimp eggs, so they weren't really monkeys at all. They were ghost shrimp. Yeah, those were cool. Oh, my first job when I worked at Walmart was in the pet department. We had fish, and I'd have somebody come in and they would pick out a particular goldfish. Now, mind you, the goldfish tank might have 100 to 200 goldfish in it. They had to have one particular one. And I was told by the manager over that area at the time, just get him anyone and tell him that's the best you could do and don't worry about it. But she didn't know who she was talking to. And the fact that my mom and me used to raise fish, we used to have like 7 or 8 aquariums. So if somebody said, I want that particular one, I just go in there, scoop it out like it was nothing. And she told me she was going to show me how to catch fish, but she wanted to see me do it one time first. So they pointed out the fish they wanted, and I just scooped it out real quick, put it in the bag, did it all up, sent them on their way, and she just looked at me and went, "You make that look too easy." And I went, "It is easy." It turns out she couldn't catch fish to save her life. Yeah. Yep. 100 red ear sliders, and all of them look identical, but you will have a particular one you have to have. Yeah, we sold red ear sliders for a little while, then we had to stop because it turns out they carry salmonella, so Walmart stopped doing them. And the same thing with there's something else we carried that we had to stop carrying too, for the same reason. And fiddler crabs, we used to sell those, and we had one that got out and was living in the sump underneath the aquariums. And I went in there and caught him one time, and he was like that big around. So I put him in the tank with all the rest of them. We've got all these little tiny crabs and one huge one. And somebody went, "Oh, I want that one," and I went, "Oh, that one's not for sale." "Well, I want it, and I want it at this price." And I went, "I'll sell you that one, but it's going to cost you plus." He didn't buy it. Oh yeah, they had that Polaris submarine that was cardboard. How you doing today? Glad you could stop in. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun. I don't know if you can see it or not, but let's see, right there. That's a Supergirl Barbie. This is a Barbie car, and inside the Barbie car is a Barbie that I rerouted the hair on, and then all this other stuff, miscellaneous stuff that I had. What else up there? Oh, and my gone dinosaur that a lot of people want and nobody's ever going to get because that was a gift to me from my nephew. Gone as in Gon, the littlest dinosaur. And if you've never read any of those, you never will because there's no words, just pictures. But you can always follow the story. Let's see, where was that? Yeah, that was a waste of 49 cents. I have a few somewhere. Uh, I have some Archie action figures somewhere. And somehow I'm still here. Welcome, Diecast. Glad you can make it. You get to see me drink the last of my coffee. It's not the last of it, but I'm not going to drink it anymore tonight. But you missed all the good stuff. You're going to have to watch the rewind. I'm going to dig out those Army units. I'll dig those out. I'll try to find them this week so I can show them off next week. 100 Army men, 100 soldiers. I got 99, but I bought it used, so. And it was cheap. Here's something I found in the thrift store. So I had to buy that, you know, because it's Tarzan. Had to get that. That's the best time to watch my show is when you're drinking coffee. And if you didn't see this morning's, you might want to watch that too, where I show a bunch of comics that I think that's what it was. I think I showed comics that I got. I don't know. I get so many comics so often that it's not fun. And I'm getting another 40 this coming week. All DC comics. I have no clue what they are. I just saw, 20 comics for $7 plus shipping. Yeah, okay, I'll get 2 of those. Just see what they are. You get $20 for 20 comics for $7. It doesn't matter what they are. It's still worth it. Yeah. I mean, I had a Monkey Patrol helmet and a Monkey Patrol gun. Yeah, I was good to go. I was all in on the Monkey Patrol. That's back in the 60s. No idea what happened to that stuff. I had the Johnny Reb cannon. I'm going to get another one of those someday because I have a cannonball. I still have one of my old cannonballs, but I haven't seen the cannon in probably 40 years, 50 years. But I'd like to get another one of those just as a display piece. I have no place to put it, but I want it anyway. Yeah, you probably did. I just don't remember. I like uploading them at night to be so that they are ready at 6:30 in the morning. I figure that's a good way to do it because there's a chance people might watch it. I mean, they'll probably watch it at some point, but then it's always there for the whole day for anybody that wants to see it. This Friday, not sure what I'm going to do. Haven't decided yet. I might go ahead and put a list of comics up for sale. I don't know. If I do, they'll probably be cheap stuff that nobody wants. So $2 a piece, 6 for $10 or something like that. It won't be a live stream. It would just be there, and if somebody wanted them, they could claim them in the chat or in the comments, and Work it out. Yeah, you're not getting my American flag. Just forget it. I have nearly the whole run. I'm only missing like 3 issues. But forget that. Of course, one of the ones I'm missing is #1. And they're on eBay. I can get them anytime. But every time I go on eBay, I end up finding a Superman comic that I want or that I want to watch, and then somebody tricks me into buying it by making me an offer. Or I bid so I can be part of the process and end up winning. Yeah, it is. I think it might be some of the best stuff he's ever done. Even the Russian variant or the second series where it's a Russian spelling, that was good stuff. What am I pressing on first comments? What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm doing the Dreadstar. I started doing them alphabetically, so I've already done all the American flags that I have. Now I'm working on Dreadstar, and after that it'll be something else. But I'm slowly working through my long box and a half, and I'll get them done eventually. Let's see. After Dreadstar, I'll be doing my Elrics. You know, I have a bunch of those. Yeah, these are all Elric. And then I'll probably do E-Man. So yeah. Yeah, I think Grimjack is first. Grimjack and let's see, Nexus went to First Comics, and so did Badger. Badger is also First Comics after they did their Capital thing. Grimjack was who did that? One of the artists I really like too. I can't think of his name. Yeah, Tim Truman. That there's a copy of #2. You know, I didn't want you to feel bad by pulling out my #1, so I pulled out #2. Yeah, Star Slayer was first. I got a bunch of those also. I've got a lot of first comics. Yep, John Sable was Mike Grell. He did a bunch of the issues, and then it changed towards the end of the run. Star Slayer was also Mike Grell. But big fan. I'm a big Timothy Truman fan, so you know I'm going to have Grimjack. His Western stuff is top tier. Matter of fact, he did Riders of the Worm and such, for Jonah Hex, Riders of Worm and such for DC Comics in the 90s. He did a couple of Jonah Hex stories in the 90s. Very nice. Yeah, finding D&D action figures is almost impossible. That place must be almost like a museum. I didn't know that. See, I learned things. I'd like to get the old D&D figures, but I don't want them mint in the box. I just want the figures, and I don't care about anything else. But they're hard to find. Of course, I never really looked for them either. Yeah, it's amazing how many. It's amazing to me how many people in the comic book world play Dungeons and Dragons or have played Dungeons and Dragons at one time. It shouldn't, because it's a creative setting, but when Dungeons and Dragons is done properly, it's a very creative process by everybody, and not just by the DM, but everybody. Yeah, I ran a Dungeons and Dragons campaign from 1976 to 1999. Same campaign, different players, different parts of the world, but the same campaign. And it was my own homebrew stuff, uh, just using the basic books. Yeah. So you were doing advanced Dungeons and Dragons or Dungeons and Dragons? And did you upgrade the game as you went along? Nice. Yeah. Uh, if I ever start again, I want to do AD&D, and not AD&D 2 or the later one. I want to do AD&D first edition type stuff. I started with a brown box and pamphlet size, and the books were Men in Magic, Monsters and Treasures, and Underworld Adventures. And I wish I still had the box. I still have the books. I wish I still had the box, because I could sell that box for like $500. That's what I've heard. But yeah, I've still got some TSR stuff laying around. Uh, I've been selling it. Not really interested in keeping all of it. Now I'll keep all of my old original stuff, but like the Conan game and Boot Hill and stuff like that. I don't care about that stuff. I'm not going to keep that stuff. But my original Gamma World, my first print Gamma World, I'm keeping that. I'm keeping my, of course, all of my AD&D stuff, uh, and all of the earlier stuff that came before that. I keep that. So, but I've been tempted once or twice to sell my Dungeon Master and my Monster Manual and the expansions. I've got Greyhawk, Blackmore, uh, and there were 4 expansions to the original 3-book set or 3 booklet set, and I had those too. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what I've got. And I have both first and second edition of the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual, and I think I've got third. I've got the ones that came out in the notebooks also. I've got those as well. I never saw them in plastic. The ones I got when I got them, they weren't in plastic. They were loose. I would never sell my stuff. Uh, I had like an 8th printing of the original 3-book set. Of course, it didn't have the Barsoom stuff in it like mine did. But I sold that as a box set. It was a white box set. It was a 7th or 8th printing. And I sold that for like $300 back in the 90s. Yeah, I got most of my stuff directly from TSR mail, and it's they never came wrapped in plastic. Uh, I've gone beyond collecting. I'm a hoarder that occasionally lets stuff go. Here's that one that I've got. I actually have this offered up for sale. I have that on eBay. It's never been opened, but because they didn't want to put a piece of tape on the plastic covering, I did some plastic wrap around it to hold the tag on there so I know what it is. Yeah. but I have the first one also. I have the first print or the first edition of that, but I'm not selling the first edition. That one's mine. You mean like this? I don't have any Star Wars, but I have, yeah, I have a few Indiana Jones left. I've sold most of them. But you see, I've got stuff like this too. And those are not easy to find in this condition. Most of the Indians nowadays, they don't they don't know about Judges Guild. Uh, I killed many people with my Judges Guild modules. I actually ran one. There was one module that everybody kept wanting me to run, so finally I did, and two people quit the game. Didn't come back for like 3 months because they were so pissed off that their character got killed. But the Judges Guild modules are deadly. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Tomb of Horrors wasn't that difficult if the players paid attention and they did good interaction with the DM. They could do it. But the Judges Guild stuff, and you needed 20 or 30 people just to just to crack open the cover without somebody dying. One of my favorite campaigns, I had a guy that he supersized his characters all the time, and he'd show up with some stuff that I never gave him and nobody else ever gave him. So where did he come up with this stuff? And he'd just go into the books and add it to his character. I said his character was like 12th level somehow when everybody else was like 9th or 10th. Somehow he's got to be 12th level. I said, I'm going to kill your character. He said, good luck. I said, I'm going to kill it with kobolds. And he laughed at me. So they go into this Castle Peak area where they knew the dungeon was under Castle Peak. And it's an old rundown thing. And there's a kobold standing in front of him and says, "Stand or die. Drop your weapons or die." And they laughed. One guy went to kick the kobold, and the kobold just went like this. And all the kobolds that were ringing the walls started firing arrows at him. There were like 500 kobolds. So I really couldn't miss. And yeah. When you take 1 point of damage 500 times, it'll kill your character. You can't save that many times. Yeah, I killed this character on purpose because I thought he was cheating. Turns out he was. Yeah. 500 kobolds will kill any character alive. Especially if they're shooting arrows at you and you don't have time to do anything. The other characters are smart. They ran. They bravely ran away. Didn't go back to that place. And there was another time he had a different character that somehow became really powerful, a really powerful cleric. And he's down. I told them at the start that the dungeon area they were in was inherently evil. Everything about it was inherently evil. And he asked his god to purge the dungeon. So I did. Clapped the mountain on him. I was pretty evil as a DM, especially when I knew people were cheating. If I knew you were cheating or I suspected you were cheating, you were not going to make it out alive. After the purge, he started playing normally and wasn't cheating anymore. Yeah, he wanted the dungeon purged. It was inherently evil. So what happens? The mountain collapses. And I was about half drunk one night when we were playing, and I wanted my character to put out a candle that was on the table. And instead of saying extinguish, I said distinguish. So the DM had this whole big thing about people coming out and presenting an award to the candle. Oh, we laughed our butts off on that one. I'm surprised I remember it. But that was in Germany. That was fun. So yeah, I played in a bunch of different places. I've never got to play in a tournament or gone to a game convention and play. I've just never had the opportunity. And I probably would go to a game convention now, but I doubt that I would play. No, I was in Berlin. I spent 4 years in Berlin, Germany. It was awesome. That's when the wall was still up. So yeah, that was a long time ago. You were in the Kubert School when I was in Berlin, Germany. I miss those days. I would love to run another campaign or another game, and I'd start it from scratch too. I had this thing of I didn't care which way the players went or where they went. I would just make up the thing that says I went if I had to. And the one time I prepared a dungeon and had it 100% ready, and I knew exactly where it was going to be, and the players avoided it like the plague. And they didn't even know they were avoiding it. So I had it in the mountains and they didn't go there. So I put it in the swamp and they didn't go there. And I put it over here and they didn't go there. No matter where I put it, they went the opposite direction. So I just gave up. It's a fully prepared dungeon that I never ran. Yeah, glad you could be here, John. And this is what it's all about. I like just interacting with the community. It can be about comic books, it can be about cards, it can be about toys, whatever you want to talk about. I'm up for it. I like it. So take care, John. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you next week. Yeah, Greyhawk would be a good one to run, but like I said, I had my own world. I created my whole world. I'd be interested in seeing it. I don't want to see your maps. Maps are personal. I don't want to see those. But your some of the character drawings, that would be cool. I don't share my maps with anybody. I don't expect anybody to share maps with me. And all of my dungeons weren't below ground. Some of them were above ground. I did a Thanksgiving dungeon one year. Yeah. 50-foot turkey can do a lot of damage to a player character. I used to like when players would make their own maps and you know they would draw out what I described and try to make a map of the area, cartography type thing. I'd even supply them with graph paper or hex paper to do it with. And I would sometimes compare those maps to the actual map. It was never even close, but it was fun. Uh, and for background, character background is a big deal now. But back the way I did it was all I wanted to know was three things about their character. Any three things they wanted to tell me about their character was fine. And I would start incorporating that into the story that I was trying to tell so that their background information actually came from playing the Dungeons and Dragons game. But even the outdoor maps were way off from what I actually had. And I showed it to one of the guys one time. Look, you did good, but here's what it really looks like. And he just went, "Oh, I got everything wrong." Yeah. Uh, and sometimes they found out that they, one of the evil people that they were going after was an uncle of a party member or a distant relative of a party member, and that kind of changed things up a little bit. But making a big bad guy is hard to do. The little guys, that's easy, but making that overall big bad guy, that's a difficult. It takes a lot of work. And they always wanted to go after the big bad guy. Well, there wasn't always a big bad guy to go after. And sometimes I had to create lesser bad guys for them to go after to give me time to create the big bad guy. It, it, it wasn't always easy. And some of the best games I ever ran were right off the top of my head. Um, I went in as a guest DM into an Air Force base, Air Force player. And somebody found out and played, they came to one of my games they liked it, and they said, "Hey, would you DM for us one time?" I said, "Sure." So I went and guess, I had a big stack of books like this. Since you see these books, you see all of these rules, see all those rule books in front of you that each of you have, and I took all my books and I tossed them over my shoulder. We're all over the place, and people are freaking out, but I didn't care. I reached in my pocket, I pulled out a 3x5 card. You want to play the game? I'm making the rules. It was just that easy. I just wanted to kill any rules lawyering right off the bat, and we had a great time. I did the whole thing off the top of my head, and just referred to the 3x5 card once in a while. And there was nothing written on it. Yeah. Cave bears make good big bad guys too when they don't realize that the cave bear is in charge. Yeah, that's a good one. Or the captain of the King's Guard is a big bad guy, but nobody knows it because he's the captain of the King's Guard. I remember one that I planned out where they had to save a goblin from being executed. And this person that gave them the mission, they got the mission in an inn, and it was paying pretty well, so they accepted the mission, not realizing that the person they had to save was a goblin, and one of the guys was just, if it was a goblin, he was going to kill it, and it was the Goblin King that was putting up the money to save his son, his heir. So that was interesting. They kept having to keep him from, or keep the one player from killing that goblin, because that goblin, they had to bring him back alive, or they weren't going to get paid. But the Goblin King was a benevolent goblin. Goblins weren't inherently evil in my world. Kobolds weren't either. Orcs, yeah, you don't trust an orc. But goblins, some of them were actually pretty good. A lot of them had got a bad rap. Yes, but who do they work for? You've got three big bads, but who do they work for? It's always a higher level. Yeah, neutral goblins confuse people, so they're always good. Those are the old. Don't tell me. Let me guess. Those the old is some sort of lich, a grand lich, or better yet, just a low-level lizard that couldn't quite make it, but he was really good at manipulating people. Try that sometime. Try a low-level. He would have been an adventurer, but he wasn't very good at it. And he's not really that good at magic, but he was a mage, but he was really good at manipulating people and managed to come to power that way, and took it out on the people that looked down upon him. unfortunately, 1d6 arrow can kill him, except for all of the magic rings and stuff that he has on his hands. Yeah. And he's a bad guy, but even though he's a bad guy, he'll probably do good once in a while. Oh, he's like a white feather. He who fights and runs away lives to run away another day. Or not he who fights, or just he who runs away lives to run away. Very cool. Those are good characters to have. That and the absent-minded shopkeeper that doesn't really know what all he has, but he probably has whatever you want. But he'll show it to you, leave it on the counter, then turn his back. And if you seal it, he doesn't even notice because he's got so much crap. Oh, of course, have to do something in exchange. Everybody needs an absent-minded shopkeeper who has literally everything because he buys everything. But as a DM, you know how much money the players have. So you can always price that stuff they really, really want just out of their reach and make them go try to get some more money. I had a paladin who desperately wanted a +5 holy avenger sword, and he went to my innkeeper and told him what he wanted. The innkeeper said, "Yeah, I got one of those around here. I got an avenger sword somewhere around here." And he sold it to him at a reasonable price, and the guy would use it, and he. It seemed like the more he attacked and the more damage he did, the healthier the guy got because it was a +5 sword. It's +5 to heal. So when you hit somebody with it, it would heal them for +5. So whatever damage you did, you had to subtract 5 in order to figure out what damage you actually did. There you go. That's a good one. And the other thing is that I've had characters say, "Well, I want to go to the bank." Well, we don't have banks. We have money changers. They will exchange your money, but they are not banks. You can't deposit if you want to leave your money with them. Sure, you can do that, but you're not going to get it back. Yeah. I like the watch commanders or the watch sergeants that walk up to the party and say, "You're all under arrest," and then say, "What's the charge?" And he looks at him and says, "You ask too many questions." They don't remember that this time frame. They don't need a reason to arrest you. Yeah, but like I said, no banks as such. They have to find a place to hide their loot if they want to hang on to it. Banks make it too easy. So yeah, you don't have banks. Oh, I like that too. Yeah. Go go down here and take out this thief. He's doing things wrong. He shouldn't be there. Turns out that the thief is actually the head of the thieves guild. I actually had a game like that where they were contracted to take out the head of the thieves guild. It turns out the thief was the one that took out the head of the thieves guild. Well, what happens if the thief kills the head of the thieves guild? The thief becomes the head of the thieves guild. So that didn't work out too good. Yeah, that's a good one. Catacombs are always fun. And maybe a vampire or two. Well, not two. You don't. Vampires never run in pairs. If you have one vampire in a game, that's one too many because they will do a number on a party. I only ever had one vampire in a game. And he took a party from ninth level down to fifth level in like one one session. Uh, and then when I realized that he was going to kill them all, and I didn't really have to work at it, I had him fly away. He ran the vampire decided that they weren't a threat and left. They went after him, but they never caught up with him again. Oh, they were mad. Ninth level down to fifth level, and they can't use all of their powers anymore. Yep, that would do it. It's a, Tunnels and Trolls was another game I liked to play. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Like I said, I used to like tunnels and trolls too. The bad part about tunnels and trolls is every time you run into the same monster, he gets in. His hit dice go up. So if you're seeing a troll for the first time, it might be a 1 or 2 hit die monster. You see him the next time, he's a 3 hit die. After that, it's a 4 hit die. After that, it's a 5 hit die. The worst I ever saw was a 54 hit dice troll. On tunnels and trolls, 54 hit dice means that's how many dice they roll against you. It's an interesting system, and you get adds to your roll, but a player gets 1 6-sided die. So if you're running up against a monster that has 2 hit dice, he gets to roll 2 dice. You get to roll 1. But he can get adds for strength and stuff like that. So yeah, they didn't take down the 54 hit die to 10 players, and they could not take down a 54 hit die pro. And they had a lot of adds. Basically, they'd roll 1 6-sided die and get like 14 added to it, and they still couldn't take down 54 hit dice. But I didn't kill them that time, but they were pretty sure they were going to die until the troll got distracted by something and wandered off. He's just quit fighting and wandered off. I might have that somewhere. I might have a copy of Deadlands somewhere. Yeah. Well, that's always fun, and that's the thing I liked about Boot Hill was it was you could port it into Dungeons and Dragons if you want. They actually had rules in the original Dungeon Master's Guide for how to do that for the advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Well, I'm going to let you go. I'm got some things I want to do before I go to bed. Like eat. Yeah, that's cool. I can't draw for crap. I've tried and I've practiced and practiced and practiced. I still can't draw. My sisters, both of my sisters, amazing artists. They got all the talent for art. I can do some pretty good stuff on the on Photoshop, and I can paint figures pretty decently. I'll have that one here. It's hidden. I'll have to show you my Vampirilla that I painted sometime. Oh, there's no such thing as off-track chat. I like it all. Yeah. I'll dig it out. I'll show it to you next time. Or I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. But it's the one that it's the cold cast porcelain they did in the 90s, and they just sold it blank and you paint it yourself. Yeah. I did that one, and it turned out pretty good. I did a Hulk that if you check out some of my older videos, I actually show myself painting the Hulk. Yeah, and I need to get back into doing that stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Take care, anybody that's left, and have yourself a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye.